Hello everybody, welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. As always, before I start, I also publish on Rumble and I'm on these platforms here, mainly on Twitter, checking things out on the drama. For so far as I can see, as long as there are news, I have the conditions to continue to do like daily videos, so hopefully if nothing major happens, I will continue to do so. So let's get going. Not a lot of stuff here, but some interesting things here. Supposedly, Intel is proposing like the x86S kind of thing, only architecture, which basically it's like only 64-bit only architecture, because at the moment with all the CPUs usually support legacies one, the 32 and the 16-bit support in terms of architecture. So I'm not sure exactly if this tells us that that fact that they want to propose stop supporting natively. I think it's regarding hardware, how the CPU is manufactured. They have to take into account this, I suppose, from what I can gather. There is a white paper. I didn't see it yet, but it has its advantages, of course, because there's less things that the CPU has to handle in terms of natively supporting the legacy ones, the 32 and the 16-bit thing here. I'm not sure if this will kind of, how do I say it, transform the way they do CPUs, because I'm not sure if this is like hardware related, the native support, or if it is like only software support. But from what I can gather, I think it's in the process manufacturing of this all of CPUs, they have to have this kind of built-in thing. I don't know if like it is like with AV1 encoding that has some dedicated hardware for that thing in specifically, that operation in specifically, because from what I can gather, the fact that if you transition to a x64-bit only architecture, they remove a lot of this, like eliminating support for stuff and like have like controller stuff here. I'm not an engineer, so it's a lot of kind of guessing work, but it's very interesting because if you remember, if you were from XP era, they were like 32-bit OS, and they cannot have like the page file stuff or whatever it's called, and how the disks are formatted at the time. It cannot handle like more than 4 gigabytes of memory, and even like the thing you cannot, and because there is no more than 4 gigabytes of memory, then like the games were very, very smaller. It was a lot of constraints, and of course after XP and everything, when they introduced the 64-bit architecture, it was completely different. Because even like supposedly Windows 10 doesn't support 32-bit CPU and older, so I don't know. Supposedly you can virtualize this. I'm thinking mainly at the moment like older software and even like games that run on different architectures. If not mistaken, I think games can still work if they are not like remade or something. They can only work in older architectures, but we will see how it goes. It's only a proposal, nothing set in stone so far that I can see. We will see how it goes, but it's very interesting because this will all, to a certain extent, if people, this will influence like hardware. I think at least is my my reading of the subject. Now regarding games, we got again The Last of Us Part 1 supposedly has more patches that came out, and there is like improvement on textures and CPU usage, but new stutters have been added to the equation here. Again, this is a mixture of these games, is a mixture of the fact that the hardware itself, especially GPUs, they are not very... the fact that you have lower VRAM, and I suppose that memory bandwidth also enters this equation, and the fact that the games are not well optimized. It's not only one of those things, it's both of them. At least that's my interpretation of everything that has been happening, and we're only going to see this happening more and more. I think Unreal Engine, the 5.2, as like they solve basically this thing with the stuttering issues with the new version, because usually the stuttering has to do with things that the engine has to render, but usually sometimes we will never see the rendering thing that is happening on the background. And this new version of the Unreal Engine supposedly fixes by calculating if the player is going to see whatever is going to be rendered or not, and then just stop rendering so it doesn't throttle the engine or the hardware itself. And I think in terms of optimization, it is way better. But in the meantime, we have this Unreal Engine. Some of them are Unreal Engine 4 games that are coming out, and some older Unreal Engine 5 games. I'm not sure how the process of updating for new version of the Unreal Engine 5 will work out in games that already been launched and games that already been developed with versions prior to the 5.2. But the fact that remains that at least there is some kind of limelight, that there is like a Digital Foundry thing here. I didn't see that. It's around 15 minutes, I think. Not mistaken, yeah, 15 minutes to go through all the nitty-gritty details. But I think at least in lower settings, the textures are like way better and take less VRAM from the GPU, around 1.5 GB on average, regardless of the settings, which means slower and weaker GPUs with less VRAM should be handled way better the settings that at least you are playing at the moment. But the fact remains that the stuttering is regarding to shader compilation. I really don't know exactly how this thing works with shader compilation, but the fact that it's bringing like a hell on gaming, especially on PC ports. And we saw, I don't know if it has something related with Redfall, which is like a mess. Just in terms of performance wise, I don't know. I just hope that of course, if the hardware that is being launched, like the 4060s and whatever, if they launch with more VRAM capacity, and I think with more memory bandwidth and memory bus, I think would help to alleviate how much the developers have to try to optimize for this limited VRAM issue that we are being seeing a lot since the beginning of the year. Because I've been seeing a lot of developers, they have been asking for hardware developers to almost 4 years from now, from today, they've been asking for the GPU guys, manufacturers to increase the VRAM, the minimum capacities of VRAM, at least to 12 gigabytes for 1080p, and then mid-range or about 16 gigabytes, and then the top end 24. They've been asking this for a long time. It's not VRAM. It's not the most expensive component of the GPU. It's relatively cheap. I don't know why they already didn't do it. AMD, it's the one that okay, it managed to get the mid-range. At least the previous generation, all of them have 16 gigabytes basically. This one, the 7600, it's only have 8 gigabytes, so we'll see how it handles. I think 1080p, it's like the bare minimum if you want to play a 1080p game with this kind of VRAM capacity and memory bandwidth. But yeah, we have Nvidia saying that they now, because it's the thing with technology, they managed to get a new algorithm or whatever it is in terms of textures compressing. It's like proprietary technology, so it handles compression of textures in a different way with everybody does. It's like the Apple thing. The mentality of putting the bare minimum and you're paying a premium price. Basically, you're paying for technology, not paying for the hardware, which sucks to everybody, because these companies mislead you into thinking you are buying something and then you are not buying it. It's a lot of a lot of rants, separate rants for different topics. But yeah, basically, they solve some things, but in the meantime, other stutters have been added to the equation. Basically, that's the main thing from here. And we got some new leaks here that supposedly Bioshock was rebooted again last summer. I think there has already been some attempts here to reboot, or I don't know if reboot is the best way to go about it, because how Bioshock, supposedly like the canon thing with multiple realities and universes, are handled, at least were handled with Bioshock Infinite. I don't know if rebooting is the best way, unless they want to revamp the lore of the Bioshock universe's work. I think like something in, you can have like kind of a sequel kind of thing, or like a soft reboot with the philosophies of how things go, the themes that you want to approach, and have some legacy lore that from the previous games. I think it's better, because this rebooting thing that they caught up from Hollywood, from the movie stuff, usually it doesn't work that well, because you're just trying to erase something that make what the IP is. It's a big chance. We have very few examples, like in movies and series and in games, that manage to get to do the reboot thing successfully. Usually it's not even reboots, usually it's like remakes. Usually what it works best, if you can catch the essence of the game and then add something new, or add tweaks in some gameplays. Usually the remakes are better, because it's a game, you can add gameplay mechanics, or you can enhance certain things here. And in movies it's different, because you have actors that are people. It's completely different. But for example, Dead Space remake was very well received. Resident Evil 4 very well received, even though the some performance issues. But the main take, it's how the game was. These games were remake. But yeah, I don't know if the reboot is the best way to go about it, the Bioshock thing, but at least they are trying to do something with it, which is not that bad, because I kind of like the way that they went about it. Bioshock Infinite can open up a lot of doors, and to a certain extent, in some cases, the multiple universes here can. It's more convoluted on how the previous game's story goes about, but yeah. Supposedly they want to go about it, this game, trying to launch it fiscal year 2026, so 2 years from now, give or take. We don't know, but at least Ken Levine's with the Judas game, he has like his new studio is like has a partnership with 2K, which was also from the Bioshock stuff. It will launch supposedly next year. From what I can gather, I think it's next year. I think early next year, if not mistaken. We will see how it goes. In the meantime, they supposedly have 2 years to see how this thing will work. But yeah, I don't know if reboot is the best way to go about it. But I'm going to wrap up here with some gaming deals. We got Dead Space remake, which is like 20% off, which is good. The game launched like early this year, so the game it's good. It's not in promotion because it's bad, but you got the normal edition and the deluxe editions, so 20% off. It's till the end of the month basically. We got also the Bioshock remastered ones. We got here the collection, like 80% off, $12, which is the Bioshock 1 and 2 remastered, and the DLCs associated, and Bioshock Infinite with all the DLCs associated with it also. So it's a good deal. I really recommend playing the game, at least the trilogy, to have an idea what the story is, which is always good, and it's cheap. And the games your hardware for sure will handle these games here. We got Atomic Heart also. It's 25% off and 30% off on the enhanced editions, the premium and gold edition. Seems good. I didn't hear anything bad from this game after the initial performance kind of things, but I think they managed to solve all of this. But in the meantime, you can play download the Atomic Heart demo, which is good. Something that Steam is starting to introduce now, like demo stuff. Gone are the days when we have the magazines, they have the CD-ROMs, they have like the demos for upcoming games. At the time, I remember playing a lot of demos there. It's like time demos, sometimes like half an hour gameplay or like vertical slices basically of the game, so you have an idea what the game is. It's good to try out. So I think it's good because they usually have the return policy of 2 hours. So in terms of, I don't know, in terms of finances, receive a payment, then we have to return the payment. I think this is also a more streamlined way of not trying to take advantage of the system of the refunds stuff, because there are certain games that you can complete under 2 hours, or at least have played most of the game in 2 hours, then you just refund the game. And like this, you have like a limit. It's more controllable for the developers and also for this platform to manage these kind of things. I think demo it's a better way here. But yeah, 20% off or 40% of the enhanced editions. We got also this like indie games or not AAA studio stuff, which is Ash of God Redemptions. This is like an older game from this IP, let's say, which is Ash of God Redemption. I remember seeing videos for this game. It's like an RPG turn-based thing here. It's kind of very similar to Panache Saga, even the graphic-wise and how the story, like one or two main beats of the story is similar. It's like the end of things and everything. They call it the Reaping, I think. But it's very interesting, the game. Here it's mixed, recent reviews, I don't know, but it's mostly positive, so around 70%. It's worth a try. At least in my opinion, if you like this kind of games, because they have not a sequel but another game here that was launched like in April this year. It's very positive. Here the mechanics are completely different, and it's not a sequel. It's 20 years after the events of the first one. They have like a notice here. There might be some familiar faces from the first one, but it doesn't have like, the story is not a direct sequel of this, so it's kind of different. And the mechanics here is more like card game, but there is the RPG system and the deck building stuff here. It's all here, so it's a a bit of different take here on this game from the same IP or the same universe. I found it interesting. I kind of like these games here, and it's 20% off the pack of the two games, so $40. I think it's kind of worth it, at least to try. There is no demo here for this one. No, there is no demo here. And another one I managed to get the featured this deal like a few days ago, like a week ago, which is White Bastards. I think this game is very, very good. It's like 70% off, which is a pretty awesome deal. $9. It is like a roguelike first-person shooter, basically. It's very interesting how they go about it, how you upgrade, what kind of persistent upgrades are there, and the ones that you need to always try to get through. There are different paths, different characters with different abilities. It's very, very interesting, this game, and I really do recommend this one if you like this kind of roguelike kind of games. And lastly, we got here Wall World. Again, this is a very excellent game, tower defense with mining and roguelike thing here. 20% off, $4. It's nothing. And I think it's well worth it. I watch. It's kind of a short one, but it's not an easy one. So it's going to I don't know if some keyboard smashing is it's a warning regarding that, but I think it's a very good game. It's always good to see these kind of games. They are on cheap, and at least you can pull out the sessions here and there. I think it's like 20 minutes each session, so you don't waste a lot of time here. You don't need to invest too much time on the game at each session. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up here for today with my Go Get Fund Me. I hope my videos will start getting more smoother, because I think I lost a little bit the hang of doing the video stuff here. The Go Get Fund Me is for me to upgrade my PC to get better, more content from my private clients, and of course in my free spare time continue to do the gaming news with better quality, trying to do some scripted content, to do some deep dives in some stuff that I like to go through. Of course, resuming my gameplay series, doing some live streams, and also can tinker more with video editing and video work for my private clients. And with all that said, guys, I hope you have an awful day. I'll see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.